Listening to stories is one of the best ways to improve your English. You don't need to memorize grammar rules or study boring textbooks. Just enjoy the story and let your brain grow naturally. We publish stories like this every day, so if you want to learn in a fun way, remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next one. He didn't usually turn left on that street. It was the part of town that felt too quiet, too narrow, and maybe a little forgotten. But that day he had no plan. He wasn't in a rush. The sun was low in the sky, the kind of soft light that made everything look warmer. So when he reached the corner and noticed a small alleyway he had never walked through before, he decided to go. The alley looked like it didn't go anywhere. A few old buildings stood on each side. The ground was uneven, with small cracks and patches of green weeds pushing through the stone. At first, it felt like he had entered the back of something. Not a street, but a leftover piece of the city. As he walked further in, the noise of traffic behind him slowly faded. There were no cars here, no signs, no crowds. Just the quiet sound of his own footsteps and the soft wind touching the old walls. He looked around and noticed small things. A tiny door painted blue, a window filled with dusty books, and a bird's nest built under a broken street lamp. It wasn't a long alley, but it was deep, and at the very end, it was closed. A wall stood there, tall and old, with no way forward. He had reached the end of a dead-end street. But he didn't feel disappointed. In fact, he smiled. There was something peaceful about it. The kind of place that felt like it had been waiting for someone to visit. There was a small bench near the wall, made of wood and a bit rusty metal. He sat down, just to rest for a moment. The air was cool there, and the sun reached only part of the alley, painting golden lines on the ground. He closed his eyes for a few seconds and just listened. Somewhere above, a bird sang. Somewhere close, leaves moved gently in the wind. When he opened his eyes again, he noticed something on the wall in front of him. It wasn't clear at first, but as he got up and stepped closer, he saw a painting. Not a big one. Small, just behind a flower pot. It showed a street, quiet and bright, with a bench that looked exactly like the one he had just been sitting on. There was no signature, no message. Just this little painting, hidden in the corner of a dead-end alley. It was like someone had left it there on purpose, but only for those who came close enough to find it. He stared at it for a long time. There was something about the image that made him feel calm. Maybe it was the colors. Maybe it was the silence of the place. Or maybe it was just the surprise, the feeling of discovering something good without looking for it. He took out his small notebook and started to draw. He wasn't a real artist, but he liked to sketch when he found something interesting. His lines were simple, but the moment felt complete. It wasn't about the quality of the drawing. It was about remembering the feeling. As he finished the last line of the sketch, he noticed someone had written a short sentence near the corner of the wall, almost too small to see. It said, "Good things grow in quiet corners." That stayed with him. He sat again, this time with more attention to the air, the light, and the sounds around him. He thought about all the places in the city that were loud, busy, full of signs and lights and noise. But not this one. This alley had no shops, no cars, no people rushing by. And yet, it had given him something better, a pause. He spent a while longer there. He didn't check the time. He didn't even touch his phone. For the first time in days, maybe weeks, he felt like time had slowed down, like the world had stopped spinning so fast. Before leaving, he looked back at the wall. The painting was still there, quiet and hidden. He didn't take a photo. He wanted it to stay in his mind as something secret, something just for him. He walked back through the alley slowly, touching the wall lightly as he passed. When he reached the street again, the noise returned, the sound of the city, the voices, the movement. But something inside him had changed. He realized that sometimes, taking a wrong turn or going nowhere can bring you somewhere new. Somewhere soft. Somewhere meaningful. From that day on, he looked for more quiet corners. He started walking without a map more often. He followed small streets. He sat on benches with no name. And often, when he did, something small and beautiful would happen. Not big things, but enough to make him smile. It all started with one simple choice: to walk into a dead-end alley, just to see what was there. And what he found wasn't just a hidden painting or a peaceful bench. He found space. He found silence. And inside that silence, he found himself. You just listened to a real story in real English. That's how your brain learns naturally, through rhythm, context, and connection. No pressure, no stress. If you want more stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us every day for more. And tell us in the comments, what's the quietest place you've ever found?